Hello and welcome to this very special Thanksgiving edition of the Tennis Podcast.
I didn't know it was the Thanksgiving edition until you said that.
Yeah, I'm going to guess you don't have a Thanksgiving-themed list, do you?
No, I don't.
Folks, my name's Nick, and the other voice you're hearing is the voice of my sidekick host, Brandon. All right, this is the show where we talk about top 10 lists. So one of us comes prepared with a top 10-ish list. The other tries to guess that list without any prior knowledge or research on the list. In fact, I don't even know what the list is. My sidekick host, Brandon, has the top 10 list today, and I will guess what the hell's on that list. Brandon, what is the list?
It's not Thanksgiving themed. This week's list is literally not safe for work. It's the top 10 workplace injuries.
Oh my God.
This is the 10 most commonly reported workers' compensation injuries, as listed by leading insurance companies around the country. The country being America.
Oh, not Iceland?
No. So that means that you can probably scratch any jobs off of your list that are related to jobs that you would do on the African savanna or the Amazon jungle. There's no monkey bite is not on here.
You could still get a monkey bite in America. We have zoos, we have monkeys.
True, but we're not just covered with them like they are in some parts of the world, where monkey bites are as common as a mosquito bite.
Well, that works on multiple levels because out there in Africa where they have lots of monkeys, they also have lots of mosquitoes.
And monkey bites and mosquito bites, but there are no monkey bites on this list. What else are you sure is not on the top 10 most common workplace injuries?
Commonly reported workplace injuries.
Right.
So I'm going to guess rhino bites aren't on there.
Mm-mm.
Rhino horns.
There aren't any type of animal or man bites on here.
Being stabbed by a man's not on there?
You'd be surprised.
Are there any injuries reported as it relates to headbutting a vending machine?
You'd be surprised.
So wait, are these injuries reported as in like the event that caused the injury or the injury itself, like a sprained ankle?
These are types of injuries.
So would sprained ankle be considered?
No, not a specific ailment. This is a specific way in which someone may be injured. Not specific. These are categories of ways in which someone may be.
So like falling.
Correct. Yes.
Okay. Is falling off a mountain not on the list?
These injury categories are at times so broad that falling off of a mountain, yes, could be considered one of them. Could fall under here, but not specifically from a mountain.
Do you have any examples that are surefire not on the top 10?
Let's see. I'm looking at the top 10. What is this leaving out? It's not leaving out much.
What about putting things in yourself?
Doing it to yourself?
No, putting things into a part of yourself.
But are you the one administering the thing to yourself?
People that are experimenting with things.
Let's go back to this.
In an orifice. Is Dustin Hoffman's ass on here anywhere?
No, but there are ways in which I think an injury with Dustin Hoffman's ass could be qualified as a workplace injury that would be covered. And you would be due compensation.
Okay. I'm ready to start guessing. So let's say falling.
Falling. There are actually two different types of fall-related injuries. Can you be more specific?
This is a top 10 list, right?
Yes.
Tripping.
Well, now you've hit another one.
Okay.
Well, let's stop there.
All right.
You said tripping?
Yeah, tripping on like a cord or something.
Slipping / tripping.
Slipping, yeah.
Is number 2 on the list. Is the second most common type of workplace injury. It's the number 2 cause of workplace injuries pertaining to falls on wet or slippery floors or trips over something lying on the floor. Attention to what is going on around around them isn't required of employees, and employers will have safety guidelines to ensure spills are properly cleaned and no debris is present, which can be dangerous.
God, this is the most boring list I've ever heard.
Well, I'm not going to...
You sound like an instructional video.
I'm not going to read any more of those, but I will say this is... so slipping, tripping, falling on a wet or slippery floor. I would imagine that this is a huge problem at the Chiquita Banana Factory.
Or the Mario Kart Factory. Do you have any...
Or the LSD Factory. But it's number 2. It's the number 2 most commonly reported. And as we go through some of the other ones and separate the types of injuries, you'll see just how specific some of these actually are. Slipping on a wet floor or tripping on something. Basically being a bumblebutt.
Let me ask you something.
Whoa. Help!
There is a podcast called the Bumblebutt Podcast that I've been listening to that's actually really good. About serial killers.
About bumblebutts?
Question. Do you remember last week in episode 13 where we covered the most popular grocery items in America?
Mm-hmm.
We explored the very important topic of peanut butter replacing water in every facet of life.
Well,
so the oceans would be peanut butter. The shower, you'd be bathing in peanut butter.
Mm-hmm.
The water faucet would do peanut butter. The water in your bodies might be peanut butter. I think we might have to draw a line there. Instead of bottles of water, it's bottles of peanut butter. You get the idea. Peanut butter everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
In this scenario, I think slipping and tripping climbs to a strong number 1. Because think of all the times you'd be slipping on peanut butter.
Sticky. You idiot.
Well, it's sticky, but it's also it's smooth. That's why...
Viscous?
I don't know if that's the word, but...
Viscous? Viscosity? It has a high viscosity? I feel like it's sticky. When I eat it in my mouth, it's a sticky...
That's why you gave... Stop it, Jesus Christ, don't ever do that again. Last week, you gave the example of when you were a dumbass little kid, you got gum in your hair.
Yeah. In my hands.
They tried to... Your hands, okay. Yeah. And they tried to put peanut butter on them to get the gum out.
Yeah. So we're just going to do last week's episode.
No, but I'm saying that the reason they did that is because peanut butter is very slippery, and it is good for working things out.
Oh, so like if you have a problem with a friend or family member, you share peanut butter and you'll work it out.
I'm going to ignore that comment and just hammer home the point I'm trying to make here, which is a world of peanut butter replacing water. It's not good if you're not wanting to slip.
It's not good for my mental fucking health.
It's good for, if you're hungry though, all you got to do is just go outside, grab a bunch of peanut butter.
Grab a jar of jelly and head out.
And some bread. When there's snow's piled up on the street, on the side of the road.
Tan snow.
There's trucks. Is it tan? It's more of a brown. But so there's piles of snow on the road, but now there's piles of peanut butter so that the cars can drive. And think about the impact on tires too, because the tires have to be built in a way to not slip on the peanut butter when they're braking.
Please guess another on this list. You said falling.
All right, falling. So how about falling? Is it falling off something? Not a lot of mountains in the workplace.
Part of qualifying a mountain is its height, right?
Sure.
Above sea level. Falling from heights is number 3.
Falling from heights. So, okay, I guess like maybe forklifts.
Right. As opposed to falling like over something. Falling once you've tripped over something. That's technically tripping. Falling from a height is off of an elevated area, such as a roof, a ladder, or a stairway. They could be caused by slip and fall accidents or due to faulty equipment. Or, and I think this is important to note on here, by being pushed.
No, okay, slow down. Let me write it down. If it's important, I want to note it. Go ahead.
By being pushed.
Oh, by being pushed. Okay. By being
pushed.
The pushing people off of high places industry, that's been a thriving industry since the dawn of mankind.
How many times have you been driving around and you've seen 2 construction workers standing up on a steel girder and they get into an argument and one of them pushes the other one off?
I don't know if I ever go a day without seeing that.
builders, electricians, miners, guys that work in a mine, not little kids, and painters.
I like how we are assuming those are the types of people that fall, but what if it really just means people being pushed off their desk in a business office?
This part I got from a wiki article on falling from heights. And they said that...
You've really done your research.
They said that builders, electricians, miners, and painters. Not Vincent van Gogh painters, but...
Albert Fish painters.
Huh? What did he paint?
He was a painter for...
He painted with their blood?
No, that's how he...
Oh, that's right. He painted houses.
That's how he found hundreds of children to molest was from painting. But we're way off topic now. You can go back and listen to episode 8, people, for more on Albert Fish. You know, thing about falling is if a man like yourself, Brandon, were to lay down, face down in an office building, and someone wasn't looking where they were going, they're like reading a paper while they're walking, or they're talking to someone and they're engaged in a conversation and they're just walking down the hallway in their office, and they were to find their way on top of your butt while you were laying face down, and they were to fall.
Right.
The height would be so... The height...
Keep going.
The height would be great enough that they'd be injured and possibly die.
From my butt.
From the height of your butt. But that's not the first time your butt's injured someone.
I've also crushed a man's hand.
Really?
Yes. Yeah.
Let's hear this story.
Do you think I have a story about crushing a man's hand with my ass?
If his hand was in a chair and didn't know someone was coming to sit, you sat and your ass engulfed the hand.
It was
and it shattered the hand immediately.
It was a crime of opportunity.
If there was a serial killer that just smothered his victims with his ass, he just crawled into the 69 position. And then just wiggled his ass a lot. And
the medical examiner is like, I'm not sure how they died, but they've all got pink eye. Falling from...
Give me the medical examiner's like, hand me that bottle of peanut butter there. I can wash his face off. That's the joke that's going to keep on giving, my friend. So we got 2 tripping and slipping, 3 falling from a butt.
From a tall butt, such as mine. What other ways?
Oh, God.
Do you hurt yourself?
All right. I'm about to get injured on the job right now, laughing at this. Laughing at myself. All right. How about being stabbed from someone that is mad at an inter-workplace affair?
That's on here.
Really?
Number 10. The 10th most common work-related injury in America is on-the-job violent acts. Acts caused by office politics and other arguments have led to serious physical injuries.
You know, should the workplace be held responsible in that case?
For not training people to stab each other or fight each other?
Well, yeah, because that's not like work-related. If someone comes and stabs you because they're mad at you over something unwork-related, like you were sleeping with their wife.
Well, I work from home now, so my chances of being injured in a on-the-job violent act have greatly increased.
Yeah, right.
They used to call this, back in the day when only postal workers shot people, they used to call it going postal.
Yes.
They'd say that that was like when you went into your workplace with a rifle or something, and you went crazy and murdered people, they'd say, well, he went postal. They joke like, oh, be careful around him. He's twitchy. He might go postal on us. But now it happens all the time.
Now they just call it going to school.
Now it just happens all the time, and we either send our thoughts and prayers or we cry and beg on national television for gun control.
Which won't happen.
So good times.
All right, thanks for really uplifting the mood here.
Number 10, on-the-job violent acts. It's the 10th most common in America. We cannot stop fighting each other.
Have you seen the movie The Belko Experiment?
No, but I think I'm familiar with it. But go ahead. Tell the folks at home and myself about the Belko experiment.
Well, I know that the directors and all the entire cast, they're listeners of the show. The Belko experiment is a film where there's a giant corporate workplace, like thousands of employees, maybe hundreds to thousands of employees. And the doors all lock and they're all trapped inside. And an intercom comes in and says that they have, I think, it's been a while, I think it's like 1 hour to decide who dies.
Oh, I saw the preview for this movie. It looked fun.
They can either, as a group, choose who to kill, or if they kill no one, then the person on the intercom will choose for them and kill someone. And I think they'll kill 2 people or something like that. And it keeps escalating until finally the intercom says it's the last man standing. The last person standing in the entire building gets to leave, and everyone else dies.
Is the boss Mark Zuckerberg?
Yeah, I think it is.
This takes place at Facebook headquarters?
Yeah. Except their way of killing you is instead of putting a virus on your computer, they just program a virus into your body.
Lame.
My joke was lame, or the death is lame?
The death is lame. Just
okay.
Do a violent death. That's more...
Yeah. And so the thing about this movie is some people are immediately like, we're not going to kill anybody, and other people are like immediately go into this like primal instinct, kill or be killed. And the movie's not great. It's not bad. It's okay. But anyway, long story short, it's a movie and it's out there. And it's about workplace violence.
So go check it out, I guess. Don't do that. Don't do workplace violence.
Get 10% off your purchase of the Belko Experiment by going to belkoexperiment.com and entering the promo code...
Peanut butter.
Peanut butter.
All right, number 10 is we can't stop hurting each other.
Have you ever wanted to hurt someone at work, Brandon?
No, but I have had serious concerns about others showing up.
Wasn't there a guy that we used to work with that used to revenge part?
Could that be an act of silent but violent? Yes, there was a gentleman we used to work with that was in a tiff with someone in the adjacent in the next door cubicle. Yeah, and when this person got on his nerves, he would toot at her. And I heard the story separately from both of them.
Oh my god. Oh man, this episode's really tickling me today, Brandon.
You're in a very tickly mood. Hey,
I need to get a drink of peanut butter real quick, clear my throat.
Hey, did Newman ever go postal? Did they ever make a joke about Newman going postal?
Newman made jokes about others. You know, I loved in Seinfeld all the post office jokes. Someone would come in at the post office and they'd be talking to a postal worker, and then Newman would come up behind them and say, okay, my turn to take over. Please go enjoy your 4-hour break.
And then they would be super rude and hateful to the customers.
Yeah.
All right, you got 3. Tell me another way in which you might get injured on the workplace.
Stapler to the heart.
Well, that would be a violent act.
All right. Suicide?
That would be a violent act.
Man, I don't know. I mean, it seems like everything would fall under one of these categories.
There's some that are more specific than that.
Okay, how about choking? Like choking at lunch or something?
No, choking is not on here.
Or choking the hooker that
you can't.
comes on your lunch.
Yeah, if you're a pimp, then choking a hooker is a workplace injury.
Or if you're Brandon playing Grand Theft Auto.
You can't choke them. You can only stab them or beat them.
Or take a chainsaw.
But I am very pleased to announce in the new Red Dead Redemption 2, you can choke people. And I do.
Do you want to just go ahead and get your Roger Rabbit reference out of the way now, since you're just going through the references here?
Eddie Valiant choked Roger Rabbit in that movie.
All right. Give me a second here. I'm going to get this.
Well, you've actually named some of these earlier when talking about other ones.
How about when someone goes and takes your lunch out of the community fridge, eats it, and then dies of food poisoning?
That is not on here, no. Food poisoning is not on here.
Being electrocuted by either a faulty cord or by a strike of lightning.
Electrocution is not on here, no. Well, I'll tell you what. Earlier you said something. You said something about people walking into stuff. This is a close cousin to tripping.
Mm-hmm.
It would be number 5, falling object injuries.
Oh, okay, falling object.
Oh, actually, wait, no, sorry. You said something about falling earlier. You said something about walking into things earlier as well. We'll get to that in a second. But you also said falling.
So falling object.
Yeah, falling object.
So instead of the person falling off your butt would fall onto them.
Yeah. From a shelf or if my butt was dropped by another person. And the most common type of injuries resulting from a falling object are head injuries. On a part of your head is on the top of your body.
Injuries, am I right?
You remember the old children's tale about if you drop a penny from the Empire State Building, it'll go through somebody's head?
Yeah.
Oh,
is that real?
No, it's not. The Mythbusters busted it.
Did that mean that they had someone stand down there and take a penny to the head?
No, they shot a penny out of an air gun at its terminal velocity, and it did not have enough energy to injure someone. But if you dropped a brick or a steel girder from the Empire State Building, it would almost definitely injure somebody.
Well, not according to Home Alone 2, when Macaulay Culkin throws bricks at the guy from the top of the building.
There are a lot of injuries on this list that, like, basically everything on this list is something that happened to Marv or the other guy in Home Alone.
Okay, so something about getting their head set on fire?
Fire is not on here, although...
But what about firefighters?
Well, luckily, they aren't getting injured that much by fire. Smoke inhalation is not on here, but the number one most common work injury on here is probably something a lot of firefighters deal with. And I think people in almost every job in which there is some amount of physical labor probably suffers from some amount of what number one is.
Falling objects.
Falling objects.
Number 5.
It was number 5, yes. So the other thing you mentioned earlier was like tripping. Yeah. But you also said something about like walking into something. Walking into injuries are their own category. Walking into something is number 6.
Walking into something enough to injure you?
Yeah. It happens when a person accidentally runs into concrete. They specified concrete objects.
Runs into. I like that as well.
Just full speed. Someone painted a doorway on there and they just ran through. Someone painted a train tunnel and they ran through such as a wall, a door, cabinet, glass window, table, chairs. And
Brandon's butt.
Injure your head, your knee, your neck, or your foot.
Face. I ran into the wall at Pizza Hut when I was 3 and got stitches. True story.
What were you doing?
I don't know. I don't even remember it. I've just been told that, and I have the scar on my head.
Just going ape shit at Pizza Hut. It's just a wild...
Well, what else are you going to do besides go ape shit at Pizza Hut?
You were 3. I was going to say, maybe you had participated in the summer reading program, and you were about to enjoy your free personal pan pizza.
Did they have Pizza Hut when you were 3?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, it was in an actual hut.
I didn't think they had Pizza Hut in the...
It was made by Native Americans here in Oklahoma, and Pizza Hut was in a little hut.
And by pizza, it was like sticks and grass.
In the shape of a pizza. It's come a long way since then. Yeah, so walking into stuff like you're in a silent movie. Or like a Three Stooges joke.
This is very off topic, but you mentioned silent movie and you just mentioned Three Stooges. My 4-year-old daughter last night was like, this just happened yesterday. She became very fascinated with the Wolfman.
Yeah.
For some reason. I don't even remember how. But she wanted to see pictures of the Wolfman on my phone, and so I showed her. She wanted to see videos of the Wolfman on YouTube. This is pretty common for her. If she hears something new, she wants to see it.
Yeah.
And so I pull up the old, 1940 horror movie for the Wolfman.
Mm-hmm.
Like the classic one.
Mm-hmm.
And I watched this thing. And I'd never seen more than a minute at a time of that. And it was remarkable how far movies in horror have come. When he was turning into the Wolfman, it was just a man sitting in a chair. And they didn't have the effects to have the hair grow in real time.
Did it do a fade or a dissolve?
Yes. It did a fade and dissolve several times. And then he was walking through a town that was the most fake-looking town I've ever seen. into the most fake-looking woods and cemetery I've ever seen.
Uh-huh.
And then when he was howling and growling, his lips weren't matching it. And then when he attacked a man, the man stood there for like a full 10 seconds while the wolf man descended upon him.
And slashed at him.
He yelled out, and the wolf man just hugged him in a bear hug, and then vaguely bit near his neck. And they just wrestled into the floor, and the man was yelling, and that was it. No blood, no... I mean, and this used to terrify people.
Yeah, I think people must have been a lot.
And my kids were just enthralled with it. They were just like eyes glued to it.
Well, I did something similar with my son when he was 2 or 3. He also asked about the Wolfman or werewolves. And my mistake was to show him the beginning of the music video Thriller, which is far more advanced in terms of realism. And that part where Michael Jackson whips his head around and you realize that he not only has wolfed out, but that the makeup also makes him appear cat-like, and he has these giant yellow cat eyes.
Mm-hmm.
I could tell immediately that permanent damage had been done.
It'll make him stronger.
Oh.
But you know...
It's like my philosophy with raising kids. What's done is done.
Yeah, and you can't even try to take positive steps, so you might as well just let it linger and wallow.
What's done is done.
You know, I watched the trailer for that Wolfman movie too, the original trailer.
Old movie trailers are ridiculous because they would say something like, he's terrifying, and the word terrifying pops out on the screen.
Yes, in quotes.
Yeah.
In quotes. And then also it just went through every actor in the movie at the start of the trailer. Starring... And then it would show each actor. It's like a full minute of just the actors. And then it was a paragraph of text on the screen explaining the legend of the Wolfman. A man turns into wolf at night and then blah, blah, blah. And it's just like explaining in words.
How lazy is this shit?
It's so funny.
Yeah, visual showing, storytelling, people. It always bugged me at the beginning of The Wizard of Oz, too. That little bit of text at the beginning of the movie before I could read really bothered me. I felt like they were giving a key plot point that I wasn't privy to. And It turned out it was just like about inspiring your imagination and shit.
Well, I mean, yeah, and I mean, you saw The Wizard of Oz when it first came out. Do you remember, I think you were an adult at that time, right? Do you remember the impact it had on your local community?
Munchkins all left town. I never saw one again.
Is tripping over a munchkin on the...
Or there's a urban myth, urban legend about workplace injuries on the set of The Wizard of Oz. An idea that you can see someone who was accidentally hanged or hung from the rafters in one shot. And it is true that the original Tin Man was Buddy Epson. He was Uncle Jeb, or Jeb, from the Beverly Hillbillies. He was the original Tin Man, and they used like aluminum powder to make him look like a Tin Man. And they didn't realize that like aluminum powder will kill you when it gets inside your lungs. So he got very sick, and someone else got that job.
Was he okay after that?
Yeah, he went on to a long and illustrious career as on the Beverly Hillbillies, and then as Barnaby Jones. Well,
there's your... very important trivia question.
Your 60s and 70s television trivia.
You know, I think is there a part in The Wizard of Oz where you can actually see that munchkin hanging?
It's not a munchkin. It's longer than a munchkin. There is. It's right after Dorothy and the Tin Man and
have sex.
The Scarecrow have a devil's triangle. It's right after they start skipping down the Yellow Brick Road after the Tin Man sings his song, and it's in the background up and to the left, but I think it is actually a bird settling in a tree is what I read, that they had brought in a bunch of large birds as part of the background for the spooky woods, and it was just a bird moving around.
Lame.
But the bunch of the Munchkins did kill each other.
There was a war, I think. There's a Gettysburg for the Munchkin.
That was they filmed the Lord of the Rings at the same time. Okay. You got some. You don't got a lot.
I got a lot. No, I got a lot here. I'm trying to think of what number 1 is. I don't want a hint. You already gave a hint.
Yep.
What about car accidents?
Yes. Vehicle accidents are number 7.
Because all the people transporting heart transplants and driving for their male escort service, they get in car accidents.
What?
All the people that are driving while they're at work.
So the two people that you think drive for work are people who deliver hearts, donor hearts, and male escorts.
Male escorts that are driving to like a bachelorette party or something.
Which one was the truck driver that ran over Tracy Morgan? Is it a male escort?
I think he's a Munchkin delivery person to the set of The Wizard of Oz.
He was
They just have him in boxes back there.
He was a Walmart. He was a Walmart truck driver.
Yeah, whatever.
Walmart.
That's what they said. That's what they want you to think. I think there's only like a few truck drivers and postal workers in the world. I mean, it's really a majority. It's because the government doesn't want people to know how many male escorts there are out there.
Just who's using them?
Bachelorette parties. Haven't you seen any girl group movie?
I thought they just drank out of straws that were shaped like penises.
That's what they want you to think.
Back to vehicle accidents. I mean, what is there to say about vehicle accidents besides a Walmart truck driver ran over Tracy Morgan?
I mean, I guess that's really the only thing you can say about vehicle accidents.
Who else died via vehicle accident?
How about millions of people every year?
Princess Diana.
Yeah.
A photographer flashed a picture in the driver's eye, and he veered into the off the side of a cliff. Is how I remember it.
I thought it was rolling in a tunnel.
Uh-huh. Who else died in a vehicle accident? Do you remember that?
Paul Walker.
Paul Walker. Ironic. Also, that guy who played Anton Yelchin, had a part in the new Star Trek series. He's been in some other things. He's a Hollywood guy, and his vehicle slipped out of park, and he ran himself over.
Enough to die?
He got mashed by his car, yeah.
How'd that happen?
I don't know. It was sad.
Was he laying down?
No, he bent over to pick something up and didn't realize the car was moving. He got all mashed up and dead. He wasn't at work, though.
Yeah, so it doesn't even count for this list.
I don't know a lot of people who got into a vehicle accident on the job.
Male escorts and heart transplant delivery men.
Okay, so we've nailed vehicle accidents. We're missing two of my favorites on here.
What about bombs?
Bombs would be an on-the-job violent act.
All right, so I'm missing what? I'm missing 1, 4, 8, and 9.
Mm-hmm. Let's say you were working somewhere around heavy equipment and machinery.
Machine malfunction?
Well, what would be the injury?
Mashed hand?
Yes. Machine entanglement.
Oh my God.
Is number 8. I love the word entanglement for this.
Imagine if your winky got caught in there. Got all entangled in there.
I think... So wait, are you working naked, or did you purposely stick your dick?
You're a male escort that's delivering a heart, and you're
running
operating machinery.
Take off your clothes so you can run as fast as you can through this factory to deliver the heart, and
shaking your booty while you do it.
And by God, you got your dick caught in
entangled
in a meat grinder.
You know, all you got to do is get some of the peanut butter that's nearby at all times.
Just slippery yourself right out of that.
Have someone run to the faucet, turn it on, get a cup full of peanut butter. It's going to come out real slow, though, so it might take a few minutes.
One summer when I was in college, I got this job over the summer working in a factory that makes industrial-size plastic wrap. So like saran wrap, but really big. And it's made with giant house-sized, dangerous machines that heat up plastic until it melts into a malleable liquid. And then they roll it on giant rollers, which also cool it. And then it's spun around so that it can wrap around cardboard tubes. And this machine has like 50 different ways it could kill or maim you. I didn't work around those machines very much, but I did get the same safety training as everyone else who was going to work with those machines. And they gave us warning stories of things that had happened at the factory from people who did not closely follow safety protocol. And one of the stories was about a woman who had long hair, and a wisp of hair was poking out from her head protection, up kind of probably by the top of her forehead.
Yeah.
And it got caught in like a spinning lathe type thing. And it, first of all, yanked her head so hard against that bar that it knocked her out. And then it scalped her.
Really?
But they put her hair back on. Not on the factory floor, probably at the hospital. Somebody else got their fingers mashed under the giant hot roller, and he was nearly degloved. Do you know what that is?
Is that where it peels the skin off your hands?
Yes.
Like in Gerald's Game on Netflix?
Christ almighty. That guy came and rolled up his sleeve and showed us his scars.
Oof.
It was unappetizing.
It's a little insensitive, I'd say.
Well, I didn't say his name, and he knows.
Is this the same job where that guy would always be like, I'd fuck her from behind, or whatever he said? Yeah,
I worked with a truck driver who liked to chew Hawaiian Punch dip, and he stank like it. It might surprise you that this forklift driver who chewed Hawaiian Punch tobacco was a little bit of a misogynist. He was not very respectful of women around the workplace.
Let's unpack that for a minute.
We both did enjoy classic rock together.
So we went from a man's hand being gloved or degloved. What is it, gloved or degloved?
Degloved.
We went from that to
you asked about him
being a pig to women. From that to, well, we like classic rock.
We did that's the one thing we bonded over. We did not bond over his graphic depictions of what he would do with the women he saw around there.
Well, did you ever get a body part entangled into a machine?
I'm trying to think if I've ever had a body part entangled in a machine, period. No. I've never gotten stuck in a machine.
What about a Chinese death trap?
You mean Chinese finger trap?
Yeah.
Death and finger trap. You imagine someone getting their fingers caught in that and being like out in the desert or being left for dead somewhere, and they're just like, oh, fuck.
What do you do?
You're going to find someone dead of starvation with their fingers stuck in a Chinese finger trap.
It's like that Onion article I saw. I think it was Jeff Sessions, and he's like, he's gonna commit suicide by smoking weed.
By smoking a joint, he's gonna light a joint and kill himself.
And the caption was a quote from him that said, "I've taken a puff. It should be any minute now."
Well, machine entanglement, number 8.
That's badass.
When you figure out what number 9 is, and then you realize that machine entanglement is more common, that's going to disturb you.
Think of all the stupid people working with machines.
I think that's kind of a good hint about number 9. It would be shocking and disturbing to you to realize that machine entanglement is more common than number 9, which should be very common.
Is number 9 being struck so powerfully by a song that your heart stops?
It's not emotional harm, no. It is...
Don't tell me.
Well, okay. I mean, we'll be here all day.
I mean, do you really think I can't guess it?
I don't. I think you need another hint. And that, or you need to get serious about some of these guesses.
All right, let me think here. What about like something posture related?
Yes, you guessed it. Number 9, repetitive motion injuries.
Repetitive motion injuries.
Now, knowing the injuries like using the computer too much and straining your muscles.
Well, think about the male escorts that are repeating a certain motion all the time.
give carpal tunnel in the... That is less common than machine entanglement.
I could see that, because even though there's people repeating motions a lot at work, I don't think it's very often that it's enough of an injury to file workman's comp, right? You might get hand cramps, but how many people are really going to file workman's comp for that, you know?
Well, if you're not careful, that one will turn you into a hunchback Quasimodo. I saw pictures of guys with humpy backs.
Humpy backs.
Uh-huh.
What search did you put on Pornhub to find that?
Quasimodo. Number 9 is a good reason why humans do need to be replaced with robots on the workforce.
Do you think in your lifetime, have you seen iRobot?
No.
You haven't?
No.
Okay, well, basically, it's the idea that it's got Will Smith, your boy.
Uh-huh.
It's the idea that robots live among us.
And then you'd say, oh, hell no. Or you'd say to the robots, welcome to Earth.
So the robots live amongst us, and they're like a common household appliance, just like a vacuum cleaner. Mm-hmm. They're like a little servant in your house, and it's super common. And obviously, they turn against us.
A servant.
So how likely do you think in your lifetime a humanoid-like robot will be somewhat, if not very, somewhat common in America? In some form. Doesn't mean they're in every household. They could be working at restaurants, or they could be...
In my lifetime?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it'll happen.
I mean, you only got a few years left, but...
I think it will happen.
So you think at some point you'll just be seeing humanoid, intelligent robot serving you at a restaurant, or washing your car, or in your house, and it will be...
Boring.
It will be considered normal.
Yeah. It'll be like in Fallout. Those robot boys that go around with their rockets.
I know what you're talking about.
And they use their little arms, and they talk. Most of them talk nice to you. Some of them just start going, kill, kill, kill. I'm not worried about kill bots. But yeah, I think there's going to be robots everywhere. The sooner the better.
Was it Stephen Hawking that said he was warning humanity about artificial intelligence?
Well, I think he was probably a little he was probably too scared of artificial intelligence, because he wouldn't use anything more advanced than a speak and spell to talk with.
Hot take.
Stephen Hawking?
Listener of the show, or he was.
Afraid of technology. He was a listener of the show because someone turned it on in the background and he couldn't turn it off.
Also because someone traveled from the future, since our show wasn't around when he was alive.
Stephen Hawking said there's no time travel, because if time traveler would have showed up when we said, hey, we were having a party, where he said, we're going to have a party for a time traveler. If you're real, show up. And none of them showed up.
You know, he really did say that proof of no time travelers from the future is that we would have seen someone by now. Maybe that's what you're getting at.
Yeah.
Well, he didn't throw a party, though, did he?
Just probably.
At some point, I want to have an in-depth discussion with you about time travel, because it's one of my favorite topics.
I know all about it.
Yeah. All right, we'll do a time travel episode. Somehow I'll find a way to make that into a top 10 list. So I'm missing 1 and 4. That's it. Okay. Mm-hmm. So what about... I think this is one of the first episodes where number 1 is actually going to come at the end.
Hell yeah. Number 4 is going to be extremely difficult to guess, because I thought it would have fallen under any of these others. I really feel like I should just tell you.
What about like a heart attack at work?
Or
like a medical event.
No. Go back to heart attack. Heart attack could fall under this. I'm going to give you this one. Reaction injuries is number 4.
Damn.
Reaction injury.
So you see that male escort running through with the heart transplant, and his penis entangled in a machine, and you can't take it.
You stroke out right there. Those are injuries caused by slipping and tripping without falling. Those incidents can cause muscle injuries, body trauma.
Wait, slipping or tripping without falling?
Right. It's like if you tripped and caught yourself by grabbing the blade of a knife. Or if somebody mooned you and you weren't expecting it and you had a heart attack, like you suggested,
but
you're having a reaction that injured you.
All right.
It seems like it's mainly a hazard for spastic or uncoordinated employees.
If we can keep all of our examples to the
butt-related injuries?
Because you said mooning, and I mean, butt's been a popular topic on the episode today, so I think we need to stay on theme here.
I think reactions to pranks probably fall under this.
What kind of pranks would kill someone?
Well, that's not the prank, it's the reaction. Someone puts clear plastic tape over the doorway, and you walk through and the tape sticks to your face, and they laugh, and you get so pissed off that you have a heart attack and die. Or if somebody moons you and you love it and you laugh yourself to death, or if someone
or you're aroused sexually to such a degree,
moons you for longer than 4 hours and then your erection lasts longer than 4 hours, you go to the doctor and he says you're going to die. That is another reaction injury.
Oh man, we just got to do top 10 butts.
Reaction injuries. So the number one on here.
Don't tell me.
I won't, but come on.
All right. So tripping, slipping, stop falling.
Mm-hmm. I think number 10 and number 1 both say a lot about Americans. And I think number 1 and number 10 are related. Also, maybe number 4. Those aren't good clues. I wouldn't use those as a clue.
All right, give me a hint. That won't just give it away immediately.
Well, this is also probably the most common way for anyone to injure themselves. But this is the injury related to stuff like when they say lift with your legs, not your back.
Oh, back injury.
Well, it's not back injury.
But lifting?
Yeah, it's...
Physical exertion?
Yes, it's overexertion injuries.
Oh,
this one's kind of complicated. It's a little bit frustrating that it is so broad, but you understand it has to be broad to include injuries related to pulling, lifting, pushing, holding, carrying, and throwing activities at work. It's not only the number 1 most common workplace injury, but it is also the most expensive. So this is all those injuries you get, like you try to lift something too heavy, or muscle. It could also be your back, pulling your back out. And I think it's related to reaction injuries. If you're reacting to someone and you push their butt away, or you pull their butt close, or you lift their butt out of your field of vision, or you
pull the butt onto your field of vision, directly on.
You hold the butt when it's trying to get away, or you carry the butt to show a friend, or you try to throw a butt. All of those things would cause you to overexert yourself.
You're in the lunchroom and you're like, hey, Fred, check out this butt, and you throw it across the room.
It could hurt either one of you. You could pull a muscle or tear your ACL.
Pull your butt.
I think heat exhaustion.
Sure, yeah.
And fainting and shit would fall under this. And it's
overexertion of hot dog consumption.
That's a problem for Kobayashi and you. And I think this relates to number 10, which you remember as on-the-job violent acts. Are Americans being worked to death? Are Americans being worked so hard they're flipping out on each other and getting hurt and then hurting each other and going postal?
Mm-hmm. I think the answer is yes.
I think going postal is a good example of overexerting yourself.
Well, right. Overexertion and becoming Son of Sam, serial killer.
Male escorts hump until they hurt their back. They hump so much that when they ejaculate, a little puff, all it comes out is a puff of smoke. Or a little flag that says bang.
Or a white flag that says surrender, no more.
Yeah.
You mentioned our Americans work too hard. What do you think about these countries that put a lot more value on work-life balance? So I know there's countries in Europe that have like a 30-hour work week, 6 or 8 weeks of vacation every year, or holiday is pretty standard. Maternity leave, paternity leave. And then in America, it's like you're lucky to get a 2-week vacation. There's no paternity leave. Maternity leave is only 12 weeks, and a lot of people can't afford to stay out for 12 weeks. Americans work a minimum of 40 hours a week. Some work 80 hours a week just to put bread on the table. What do you think of all that?
I don't know. There's probably a good correlation between the statistically lower incidences of depression, suicide, and...
Oh, there for sure is correlation.
And higher instances of good health and higher instances of like job and life satisfaction in Europe as compared to America for many reasons. And chief among them is the fact that somewhere in the last 100 years or so, the man convinced Americans that it was something...
American dream.
Convinced Americans that it was a point of pride to work your ass off for little pay, that it was patriotic, and that it was the sign of a true like blue-collar working-class hero to work your ass off for nothing. And there was some sort of something like noble and admirable about that. And I guess work ethic is certainly admirable, but the idea that, you're a good hard-working American if you don't join a union and, stick up for your health and your rights, it's a load of shit.
That way of thinking that has been so ingrained in American culture for so long is
It's what's making us go postal.
Yeah, it's what's putting up all these roadblocks now for making any progress on these issues, because the generations before us, I had to work my ass off. I had to pay for my own school. I had to work my ass off to make a paycheck, blah, blah, blah. You get what I'm saying, right? So why should you get college for free or healthcare for free since I didn't, sort of deal?
Yeah, it's just very selfish. Why wouldn't you want your kids or other people's kids? Why wouldn't you want your country to be the most well-educated and healthy and happy possible? But hey, man, you don't want a bunch of...
American dream. You don't want a bunch of lazy millennials getting just handouts.
You don't want a bunch of lazy wusses running around with the extra time and money to, I don't know, create art or literature or even advance in sciences.
Or increase the workforce for doctors.
What you want them to do is go take a low-paying job and just be happy with it.
And when they get a serious injury, not afford to be able to go to the emergency room to get the care they need. We're off topic here. Before we go back through the top 10...
Let's join a union.
Yeah, that's the solution for everything. Male escorts have a union. Before we go through the top 10... You have something you want to say?
I'm just thinking about what they would demand. No fat chicks. No fat chicks.
Well, some of them like fat chicks.
Fat chicks are an male escort's bread and butter.
We have a lot of male escort and fat chick listeners, so
hey,
careful.
God bless the both of you.
Yep, as long as your ears are fat with our podcast, that's all right with us. So before we go through the top 10, again, which we will, let's give a quick shout out for how people can follow and support the show, shall we?
Yeah, on all the things. At 10ish pod on all those things.
Why don't I do this?
Yeah.
Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Follow us at 10ish pod. That's 10ishpod. The reason you want to follow us there is because that's the place where we take suggestions for future episodes. That's the place where you can get hints about episodes coming up so you can know what they are before we actually post them. That's also the place where we post. This week I'm going to be posting a lot of butt things because butt has been the theme of this episode. So that's where you want to go, at 10ishpod. And then something else I'm going to ask all of you listeners to do, including all of our celebrity listeners, male escort listeners, fat girl listeners. You're going to want to go to Apple Podcasts and write a review and leave a 5-star review for us, because that is a way to help this show grow. And we know that more than a secure job or a good paycheck or a male escort, the thing you want most in life is to support this show to help us grow. Help us grow more than a PP grows when it sees a butt.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah, that's how much we want to grow.
Okay. Take us through the top 10.
Top 10. What are we talking about? Top 10 on-the-job injuries, workplace injuries. Number 10, a violent act. Getting stabbed, getting hugged too hard, getting slapped. Number 9, repetitive motion, such as typing or stabbing. Number 8 is machine entanglement. I love the word entanglement, and I get images of a mess. Vehicle accidents is number 7. Number 6 is walking into something. Number 5 is a falling object. Number 4 are reaction injuries. Seeing a butt, having a reaction. Number 3 is falling from a height.
Like a tall butt.
Number 2, slipping or tripping. We all been there. Slipping and tripping to get at that butt. And number 1, overexertion.
You see the butt.
For that butt that won't quit.
Christ. Oh my God, I'm a tickle box today.
There you have it.
This is the top 10 work-related injuries, according to Brandon, who is taking this list from a bunch of insurance yahoos, bunch of yuppies in the insurance world, telling us what to think. Mind controlling.
I got it from that guy on the Allstate commercial.
What's his name?
Dennis Haysbert.
Do you really know the fucking actor's name?
It just came to me, yeah. My wife gets irritated because every time the first time that commercial came on, I said, hey, that guy looks like he lost some weight. And the second time I saw that commercial, I forgot I said it the first time. So I said, hey, that guy looks like he lost some weight. And she said, you said that the first time you saw that commercial. So now every time I see that man, I say, he looks like he lost some weight. Even if it's an image or video of him from before, when he hadn't lost the weight. So that's overexertion, number 1.
Thanks for that enlightening story.
Dennis Haysbert has lost some weight recently. Congratulations, Dennis. I know you're out there.
Yeah, listener of the show. Okay. Is there anything else you want to say to Dennis or anyone else on the show before we sign off?
Stay safe out there at work.
A lot of butts out there.
Steer clear of butts.
Yeah, good and bad butts. You want to steer clear. Also, don't stab anyone and don't repeatedly...
Stab anyone.
Don't repeatedly stab anyone. Okay. This has been episode 14 of the Tennis Podcast. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. This was our Thanksgiving-themed episode. So we should maybe say something about overexerting when you're eating some turkey or stuffing this week. And we'll be back next week with episode 15, where I will have a top 10 list that will... Don't worry, everyone. This one will actually be well-researched, so we can have a good discussion on it. I'm thinking something butt-related.
Top 10 butts?
Or I might... I'm thinking about time travel. I got to find a way to make that work.
You can try to get them both together. Historical butts.
The best historical butts that have traveled through time. Matthew McConaughey, I mean, yeah, it's not even worth doing.
Socrates.
Was he a time traveler?
Uh-huh. A hell of an ass.
Yeah, hell of an ass on that. I hate it when you steal that from me.
Goodbye, everybody.
Let's end this fucking thing. Bye, everybody. We'd like to thank Kevin MacLeod for his song Hackbeat, which we found on Incompetech.com for the official Tennis Podcast theme.